Greetings and welcome to Gnodcast with Gnod founding members Paddy Shine and Chris Haslam. In the Gnodcast, we'll be aiming to speak to members of Gnod, past, present and future, alongside heads from the wider music community and beyond. Gnod bless. All right. Hola, boa tarde. Hello, Matthew.
Hello.
Is it Matthew Baty or is it Matthew Baty or Baty?
It's Baty. I was having this conversation with my partner.
Baty, of course it is.
Yeah, we had a courier come around who pronounced my surname correctly, and it doesn't happen often. Usually it's Baty. To most people. Sometimes they correct me as well if I write it down, and then I get a form back. They've added an extra T.
Either one is cool. Hey, that could work out all right, if you need dual identities, Matthew, exactly. It's nice to see you, man. Long time. So welcome to the Gnodcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, we're delighted to have you. We're giving this thing a go, man, and the aim of it is to really speak to members of the band, past, present, future, and people like yourselves who you were a member of the band at one point, very briefly, and also you really helped us out back in the day by
having released our first single. Which was a split with Bong on it on Box.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean,
So
I was excited to do it, but I was totally out of my depth. Truth be told, I didn't know what the fuck.
Good.
I was
That's the best place to be. That's when all the good shit happens. You weren't the only one that was out of their depth, man. It's all good. I mean, I think that's the best place to be, on the edge. So, I mean, before we get into it, just for any of our listeners who might not know much about you or what you do, but I'm sure most of them do. But anyway, give us a little rundown of what you're up to, what you're doing.
I do the shouting in the band Pigspigspigspigspigspigs. I have run Box Records for quite a while, but I'm taking a little bit of a break from that. But I'm sure we'll get onto that at some point. And I work for Wipeout Music Publishing as well at the moment, so all of that keeps me busy.
Yeah, it does.
Cool.
And you look after us. You're the guy that looks after us with Wipeout.
Try to.
Man, you do. Yeah, you do, man.
Yeah.
And we appreciate your work with us on that. That's like a sort of a minefield of stuff that I'm only really starting to get my head around now. That
totally.
Stuff,
It's a weird part of music, all of that stuff. It's like a really weird web of just confusing nonsense, really, which, to be honest, I've had to unpick over the past 6 years since I started working there, so now I'm kind of a weird fountain of knowledge of just really dry information on copyright stuff and fucking royalties and things, but if I can help other people out, it's a good thing, I think.
It's great, man. I think it's great. I mean, more musicians need people like you guys doing that, and it's kind of a weird one, isn't it? Because I don't know, what would we be classified as? Low level, mid level? I don't even know what we'd be bracketed as within the music industry. But I know that it's very difficult for us to find out. What we're entitled to and what we're missing out on, and what's out there to help us to just funds coming in to keep the ship sailing, so it's a very weird, confusing, possibly boring part of the game, but I'm so thankful that we have you guys at Wipeout to help us out with that. And I used to get the fear massively looking at that stuff. Every time I'd log into PRS, I'd get the fear. And I put most of that down to being a weed smoker back in the day, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I'm here, especially like text and numbers and shit. Like, but since I stopped smoking weed and stuff, I found that I started to get my head around that a little bit more. But anyway, besides all that, so yeah, the big thing is not the big thing, but the thing is a lot of our listeners, our Patreon listeners, and especially who seem to be quite interested, avid fans, and are hungry for you know, sort of the backstory. When we met, me and you, I think we met initially working in a vegetarian cafe in Manchester, didn't we?
Yeah, that's right. I was working in the health food bit on the
right.
floor, and you were in the cafe in the basement.
Yeah. When was that? That was 2006, 7, maybe.
Yeah, living around then.
Yeah. Cool. And at that time, I remember I can't remember. We probably connected instantly on music or something. I don't know, or maybe we were we saw each other at work and then maybe bumped into each other at a gig. But at that time, you were in a band called Spokes. I believe.
Right. Yeah. Like a kind of like post rock band. I was thinking about like the very first time when we met, and I can't remember whether this was actually the first time or not, but there was a moment. There was an evening and I was in the shop, and I think we'd closed up, and I could hear you playing your hang drum downstairs. And so I could hear this sound, but it sounded like nothing I'd heard before. Like obviously I could tell it was like a steel drum sort of sound, but it wasn't that.
Yeah.
And I remember like wandering downstairs because I was like, what the fuck is this like amazing sound? And you were sat down there playing that. And I remember having a chat with you then. So I don't know whether that was like the first time.
It must have been. Yeah,
because then I remember the conversation about like being in bands and stuff happened in that cafe. So that might have been that same time. So
nice. Yeah, good memory, Matty.
Yeah, connected through via the hand drum.
Yeah, man. But back in those days, the sound of the hang drum was quite unique because there wasn't that many of them kicking around, and it was like because I had the same thing first time I heard it. I was like, "What in the? This is some kind of magic sound." But I mean, there's so many people making them now. There's loads of them, which is great. Because they are a beautiful instrument. And so so that's how we connected initially, right? Okay, and then and then because I remember at that, I think I met Johnny around that time as well, because Johnny was living in Manchester too, was he?
Yeah, that's right. So we were because he was in the same band and we were living together. So you will have, because he'll have come along to. I think we played a gig an Gnod gig in Leeds, and I think he came in the van with us. That could have been the first time.
Wow. And so Johnny is obviously the bass player in Pigs.
Yeah.
So you boys have been playing music together for a fucking long time.
Yeah, really long. Like since we were like 15.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Holy shit. So what a rhythm section, because I'm going off on tangents here, but it doesn't matter, does it? Because we're just chatting. But so you were also the rhythm section for Khunt, yeah? KHUNT.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we did that.
And for one of Mike Vest's projects,
Blown Out.
Which one was it? Blown Out.
Yeah.
So you guys are a tight rhythm section, man. And Richard Dawson as well, right?
That's right. Yeah, we somehow managed to infiltrate, try and ruin his career by
early on.
But didn't
Yeah.
but didn't Richard play in Hunt as well?
He did for a bit, yeah. Well, yeah, he played on 2 albums, and then he did a couple of shows with us. But he did one of the ones he did Super Normal, which went great.
Super
and
Normal. Yeah, I was there. It was.
That was one of the best gigs we did.
Yeah, it was mint.
And he did
Yeah.
Supersonic with us as well. And then after Supersonic, he decided it wasn't for him anymore. He got freaked out by the volume of it all, and he was like, I'll do that, which is probably quite sensible.
Yeah, I've heard him talk about that. He didn't say the band name because it was on the bloody Adam Buxton podcast. And he was talking about, I used to play in this really, really heavy band.
Yeah, that could have been the end of him there.
Yeah, I couldn't do that anymore. But I mean, that's quite a CV that you've got there, really, man. I mean, and a CV, that's such a wanky thing to say, isn't it? Oh my God. CV. Nice. You've got such a great curriculum.
My resume, my career.
So back in the day, Spokes, right? Am I right in thinking that you guys were signed to Warp, or you had some kind of deal going on with Warp? Or was it Ninja Tune?
It was Ninja Tune. Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, it was Ninja Tune. It was all a really weird time, that. And in many ways, it was a really weird band as well. There was a lot of I suppose that band's where I cut my teeth a bit, in terms of, I don't know, it became a bit like our expectations killed it, really. You kind of there was a lot of I suppose looking back, there's a lot of naivety in the band. I mean, we were all young and none of us really knew how any of it worked, but certainly when we signed with Ninja Tune, I was like, oh well, this is it. Then we're sorted now, and that was far from the truth. There was still a lot of hard work to be done, and a lot of things that could still go wrong, which ultimately did go wrong. But it's all part of the process, really, isn't it? But a lot of that, a lot of that sort of stuff made, certainly towards the end, being in that band quite just stressful and unenjoyable, really. So it ran its course. Well, no, I mean, quite early, because it was around that time when I started playing with you guys a bit, and doing that, I just remembered feeling so liberated, playing in Gnod, away from doing all the Spoke stuff. It felt, and especially that, the way that you went about creating music and collaborating and stuff, it just felt like such a pure way of doing it. And then I was kind of going back to the kind of Spoke struggle, and from the outside looking in, people were like, oh well, you got a record deal with Ninja Tune and stuff, and everything must be gravy, but it wasn't. And I was like, part of me was just oh, fucking hell, I should just be in a van with Gnod all year. It was honestly, it was far more enjoyable for the most part.
Yeah,
it really was.
Yeah. So what were we doing around that time? Can you remember what were we playing any tracks yet, or were we just jamming free, or what?
Kind of jamming free, but there was some stuff that ended up being on the Dropout album. It was the kind of early iterations of some of those tracks that were being played. Because I went
you played on Dropout.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're credited as Molly Ploppins.
Yeah, that's right.
Mary Ploppins.
Mary Ploppins, yeah.
Mary Ploppins.
That used to be your MySpace name, didn't it?
That's
That
right,
used to be
yeah,
your
yeah.
MySpace name, yeah.
Yeah, it did, yeah. I used to put up like just like noise jams and stuff that I did in my bedroom on that profile, but yeah, that's me on that on that record.
Yeah, I mean that shows you how kind of clueless we were as well to like fucking be crediting people on an album, you know, as their fucking MySpace name. I don't know how.
Myself as Mary Poppins on MySpace, so it's like.
I think we did ask, from what I remember though, we did ask you, and you asked us to put you on that as that.
Yeah, I'll have been like high in about a bottle of red wine or something and reply to an email. Yeah, put that down.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you remember the first show?
And you did some really.
Sorry, go on.
The first show, I remember that. The first show I did with you was in Kendal, and it was at that place called Dicky Doodles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did we play "I Love You"? We Love You, Kendal track. Remember we had that track, "We Love You, Kendal"? I think that was Per Sempre, wasn't it? I can't
remember.
From what I can remember, it was Per Sempre off Dropout. The music, and with Fish singing "We Love You, Kendal" over it.
Yeah, possibly. I can't remember. I can't remember the set, but I remember much of the gig because you don't forget a venue called Dicky Doodles, and Aficianado played as well.
Yeah.
And
they were a great band.
They were, weren't they?
Yeah.
And they were like outside afterwards. I think they'd found like what would you call it? Not a pallet. It had wheels on it, and they were like surfing down this bank, going really fast on this fucking.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
like on down a hill.
Yeah,
a little hill, weren't they? And we're pushing each other down in this cart thing.
Yeah.
They were a funny bunch of young lads, those Aficianado boys. And
we were a proper tight three-piece.
My God, they were so good. They were so good, man. Yeah, really, really good.
Yeah, like all of them, weren't they? But I remember, oh God, I forget his name. Their drummer was like absurdly good.
Met, what? The guitarist to the drummer.
Med was the guitarist.
Yeah, Met.
Stu played bass.
Yeah, and Dan on the drum.
Dan, yeah, that was his name. Yeah.
Yeah, good lads.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Crack show?
Yes, because I'm like no word of like if I had to like do like a list of my top gigs that I've ever played, whether it's like 5 or 10 or whatever, it'd be in there. Like that was off the charts. That for me, anyway.
Yeah,
it was how it was for you, but like
it was a great show. It was fucking wild. It was wild.
Yeah.
And do you remember the Tiger Lounge gig?
I do. Yeah.
Where like, there must have been like 15 of us, and we just caused absolute havoc on there.
Because who else was?
With Owen O'Connor in his.
Sorry,
mate.
Are you still in touch with him at all? Or I remember him.
No, he disappeared. He was doing. He was going around as a poet for years, called Space Ghost, doing poetry readings around Manchester.
Yeah.
And then he just disappeared. Last I heard, he was living in Ireland somewhere.
We saw him actually a few years ago, didn't we? He was an airport baggage handler at Manchester Airport, and we were getting a plane to some festival or something, and he just showed up in his high vis and everything. He's like, "All right."
Oh, I don't remember that.
Do you remember that? Terminal 3, Manchester Airport.
Don't remember that.
Yeah. he was
Yeah.
talented, like, because I remember watching. He did some of his poetry in Fuel. I can't remember whether it was like an open mic night or not, but
Yeah, yeah,
I was living with him at the time, and I went along, and like, yeah, he did this one about like almost drowning as a kid, and it was like, it was amazing. Like, it was really captivating.
yeah.
Yeah,
He was interesting. He used to show up with massive rolls of paper, like scrolls of paper, and just be reading off it. And it was, yeah, he was a real interesting character, you know, very, very interesting
was.
Manchester character. But yeah, he just disappeared. Don't know where he's gone. But I like that. I like that kind of enigmatic sort of head, you know.
Yeah.
And he was great in Gnod, but total, like, you know, scallywag really. Show up in his
Yeah.
football jersey and just fucking shout his head off at people and smash things and then disappear off into the night. So good. So good, man.
Yeah.
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 Miss characters like that,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
They seem to be few and far between when you go out on nights out or to gigs nowadays, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
He used to play in a band called Rapid Pig. He used to play in a band called Rapid Pig, and he had this great song. But he had a great song called "I Am Neil Young, I Am Not Neil Young," and for 10 minutes he just chanted that over a like Rapid Pig prog rock number, and he just chanted, "I am Neil Young, I am not Neil Young, I am Neil Young." It was fucking genius, man. It was genius. Yeah. But yeah, those gigs were wild. That time period was wild, and it was fucking ace having you on board for them, man. Like,
hello, I hope you're enjoying this snippet of Gnodcast. For access to full episodes, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/In Gnod We Trust. For less than the price of a coffee, you can get full episodes of the Gnodcast, access to Gnod Archive, where exclusive material will be added regularly, early access to releases, and a free digital album when you sign up. Gnod bless.
Just around that time, we were dying to start releasing records, and you had Box. Were we the first release on Box?
Yeah, the first one. Yeah, like I said, I don't have a fucking clue.
But it was mint, man. Looking back on it, it's really funny because, like, you put Gnod and Bong, two bands that kind of at that time were doing like 20-minute long tracks, and we did a split 7-inch. You know what I mean?
It makes no sense.
But
Absolutely
it was mint.
No sense.
It was. So I don't know if it's on there as a rare record or what, but yeah, it really that little thing of putting out that 7 for us, that was one of those moments in a band where you're like, yes, we're putting out a fucking record. Come on, you know, and it just like it lights the fire, doesn't it? It fucking lights the fire, man. Or it's just like we needed that badly then. So
right, yeah. Well,
you know, really fucking appreciate it.
Oh, like my pleasure.
You know, yeah. And you played on Dropout, which turns out to be I think it's Gnod's biggest selling record. I think so. And it's got voted on these psych forums like the best psych album of, I don't know, whatever. I don't really know, but which is a bit bizarre, isn't it, for that record to be known as like, it's just strange, but I'm really glad people enjoy it.
It's a great record, like it really is. And
yeah,
it's a weird one for me because like I'll like rarely listen back to records that I'm on, and you know, and listen to them as somebody else might listen to them externally to the band, but I can listen to that Gnod record and like, you know, and just enjoy it as a listener, which is quite nice.
Nice.
And it's like it's a total classic. Like it really is. It
seems to be, yeah. Seems to be. It's been a long time since I've listened to it. So one day I'll go back and revisit it. But like yourself, I don't tend to listen to records that I've done. You know, you spend so long listening to it while you're mixing it, etc., etc. It's like you never want to hear that ever again. You know,
you just tend to.
And it's not always good to go back and revisit stuff anyway. Because
You just tend to hear all
well,
these
you tend to hear.
Yeah, no, I do the same.
Go on,
or I'll start to like pick out
Sorry,
bits
you
of,
chat, man.
I wish I'd done that bit differently or that bit differently. And you know, at the end of the day, it's done, innit? You just need to move on once it's
exactly, you know, and it's not yours anymore. It's other people's, and it doesn't. We can't really. We have no idea how people are hearing the music. You know, we can't. So we just have to let go of it. I usually listen. If I do listen back and I hear mistakes, I usually go, "Oh fucking hell, that was great." Right, like that's probably the best part of the fucking record. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, you're in the Pigs crew, and it's a bit of a beast, really, isn't it? Pigs, man, it's a bit of a beast. It's because I remember seeing you guys play early on and thinking, wow, this is heavy, unhinged music. And then I specifically remember the Supernormal show where the stage invasion happened.
Yeah.
And Adam handed his guitar out, and about 5 minutes later, this guitar came fucking flying through the air and landed on the stage. And how it didn't hit anybody on the stage, because there must have been 60 or 70 people on the stage, and how it did not land on anybody's head. Because I was stage tech and I was working at Supernormal, and I was just like watching this guitar in slow motion. I was like, oh my God, somebody's getting fucking knocked out here. But it just landed, it just bounced off the stage. Adam picked it up and just carried on. And I was like, fucking hell. And then it was from there. It was from there then, like maybe a year later, Pigs just really started to like blow up, like momentum really picked up, and you were fucking really starting to play big shows and smash it out and turn into this like riff machine, you know.
Yeah.
You know?
Funny thing, I've I'm still bewildered by it. like what you know, the trajectory of it. It's been really strange. We're just like much the opposite to what I was, you know, talking about with my experiences in Spokes. It's like it's the other way around with Pigs. We just sort of react to stuff as and when it happens, and we've got no real expectations of what's like next further down the road. You know, we just, you know, as it comes, we kind of react to it and go with it a bit. It's quite nice in that sense, because it's, you know, it doesn't need to be this like stressful thing of like, you know, well, how do we get even further down the road? Not the, you know, don't think about the destination, enjoy the journey. But like, I totally carry that with me, you know, with this band. It's
I think that's the right approach, man. I really do. I think it's the right approach. And then you're just going to have more fun, you know, like for sure. I mean, like you guys have just released an album, right? Another album.
Yeah. It's out in February. What month are we now? January still. It's out in February.
It's out next month. Yeah.
And
you've just released 2 singles. Like one of the catchiest fucking numbers on a par with Paranoid, I'd say. The video as well. The video as well is like got that vibe too, hasn't it? You know what I mean? It's like, man, like it's not a surprise to me that really the heads are into it, because it's really well recorded, heavy as fuck, and fucking catchy, man. It's pure airworms. It's all airworms.
I mean, I'm under like, you know, I'm not under no illusion. There's something like quite approachable about it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, you know, we're obviously not anything like that. I suppose to some ears we might be, you know, people who are unfamiliar with that type of music. But I think there is something quite approachable and familiar about it for people who are maybe just a little bit curious in that world of music. They can, you know, they can feel like they can listen to it and enjoy it, and come to a gig and enjoy it as well. it's quite nice, really, in that sense. Like, you know, we played festivals where it's been like kids on people's shoulders and stuff, like throwing devil horns and stuff, and I absolutely, like, I genuinely love that.
It's amazing.
It's great.
You know, like
It's
4-year-old kid.
It's amazing, man. It's amazing. And like, tell me, how was it for you, or how is it for you, stepping from behind the drum kit, you know, and being like the guy in the back of the room, to all of a sudden, like, you know what I mean, being like the sexy front man up the front, you know, and like, was it weird? Was it weird for you, or was it something that you'd kind of you were comfortable with from the beginning, or what?
It was weird. It was really weird. So like the early gigs, I was wearing like a really big kaftan, like with a massive hood, which was like it was Johnny's dad's. Like his mum made it for his dad in like the 70s, but it was like really thick, heavy material. It was beautiful, like really beautiful. But yeah, I was wearing that, and so, you know, pretty much just covering myself up completely. I'd have my back to the audience a lot, and then like after a while, you know, you'd like glance around and you'd see people, and you'd see like the expressions on people's faces of like, you know, how they were reacting to the music and stuff, and I was like, fuck, like people are having a really good time here, and I'm like almost trying to hide myself away from it. So I did start to try and make a little bit more effort, like, you know, just even if it was just like turning around for a little bit longer and face the audience. And then like something clicked in my head, and I was like nobody goes to a gig to have a shit time, do they? Nobody wants the band to fuck up. Like everyone in the audience is pretty much, they're behind you, right? Because they want you to, you know, put on the best gig that you can for them. So you know, it you know, it all works in like a feedback loop in that sense, doesn't it? So
for sure.
As soon as that clicked, I was like, you know, I don't really have much to worry about here. And then I ended up getting rid of the kaftan, because we did a gig in Glasgow, and the mic lead got tangled up in the hood, and my arms ended up like suspended above my head, and I couldn't untangle the mic lead, and I was like, my arms in the air. I felt like a puppet on it, you know, like strings coming off my arms. And like, at the end of that gig, I was like, that's got to go. I'm getting rid of that. So I got rid of that.
Nice.
But yeah, the whole front.
Would have been funny if you choked yourself out.
Yeah. Do you know what? Like, you know, that might have been, you know, I might have even considered that at the time, because it felt embarrassing. It felt really embarrassing. But yeah, the whole front person thing, it's a weird thing now for me, because again, like, I'll rarely watch back. Sometimes we've got to like review live footage or whatever just to like sign it off, and I look at that person and I'm like, who the fuck even is that? That's not me. Like, do you know what I mean? I mean, it is, but it's a weird thing, because I'm totally introverted. Like, if I'm like put in a room of like 5 to 10 people or whatever, I feel like quite socially anxious. But if you know, it feels easier like walking onto a stage in front of loads of people than it does going to a fucking small social gathering. So it's like, it's a total it feels total loggerheads with who I am on a daily basis. It's a strange thing to try and compute, really.
Yeah, I can relate to that thing of like walking out onto a stage at a big festival and not being as nerve-wracked as just walking into a small room full of people, you know, like it's a really, it's kind of like you enter a different part of yourself, isn't it? Sometimes it's like you step into like almost a higher part of yourself.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a weird one, but
Yeah,
it's
it
cool.
is.
And now you've got the, you look like you're going out to train for fucking UFC or something. You're looking like fucking, you're going out to you're going out to zones or something. You got your little shorts on, you got your fucking muscle tee. You know what I mean? You're in your bare feet, which I've got admiration for anybody that doesn't wear socks and shoes on stage. You know what I mean? Because like I have a bit of a weird thing about my feet personally, but I'm always a bit like, oh fucking hell, he's getting his feet out, man. He's got some fucking balls. I wouldn't get my feet out. So
yeah, the state of my feet at the end of the night, like they're like black. It's like I've been walking on coal, but like it's so disgusting. The partner, like,
did that sort of come about? Go on, mate. Sorry, go on. You carry on with the story. Your partner,
no, well, my partner came.
She licks your feet at the end of the shows.
Absolutely loves it. I just said it out there. She said I do not. No, she came away with like a few of the early shows, and I like got into bed with like I didn't shower or anything. Got into bed. She was like, "That's disgusting. Go and wash your feet." And I was like, "Oh God, yeah." And now she makes me promise that like I'll wash my feet every night after every gig when we get back to the travel lodge or whatever. So it's become a little ritual now. I go into the travel lodge, shower, and shower my feet off. But it is disgusting. So
you should go straight out to the merch table and start like signing posters and vinyls with your feet. Do you know what I mean? Just like stamping on them.
Just a horrible toe print.
Total art. But so did that the kind of sports, you look like you're going out to battle. Did that kind of build up as well from your starting to do training and stuff? Did you feel like you were getting? You got more confidence from like training and getting into that zone and kind of maybe bringing that onto the stage a little bit with you?
You know what? I don't know whether it was like the other way around, and like the music and the performances brought out that in me in a kind of daily sense. So like, I mean, because our shows are so like physical.
Yeah.
Started especially like when the pandemic rolled in. I was like, well, what do I do? What do I do now? I wasn't doing like any exercise outside of
playing
gigs and stuff, which isn't really exercising, but you know what I mean. Like it's a physical thing. So I was like, what do I do now? I'm gonna have to do something with this energy. So I just I did the cliche thing of like I started yoga at home, which was like amazing for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've totally felt the benefit after like 2 or 3 months. And then like I started going out running, and again like that was amazing too, because that was putting me in like a really nice headspace, like just really like you just zone out, listen to music, go out and like run around for a bit. So that was nice. And then I wanted to do like something else, but I didn't know what. And there's a kickboxing place like just around the corner from here, and I must have walked past it hundreds and hundreds of times and not even thought anything of it. But there was one day I was just like walking past it and it caught my eye, and I was like, maybe I'll give that a go. Like and it's a weird thing because I've not been in a fight in my life, like, and nor do I ever want to be in one. So it kind of felt a bit like in the same way as like walking on stage and doing what we do isn't really me. It's almost like a kind of shadow part of me that I kind of want to get to know a bit. Like it's in there, and I wanted to recognize a bit. And I think that like going to the kickboxing place is kind of like a really healthy way of exercising that part of me. So we're going there like twice a week, and it's great. Like the people that run it are class. Like if I'd gone there, like I sent them an email and they said, come along, like you know, you can try it out for free, like your first session or whatever. And then if you like it, you sign up. But if not, there's, you know, it's not for everyone. Don't worry about it. So I went along, and if it had been a proper like macho, you know, competitive environment, I'd have been out of there like straight away. I wouldn't have gone back. But it was much the opposite. Like,
yeah,
really,
everyone's
really
so supportive, aren't they? Usually in places like that, you get the impression there is a bit like going to be loads of macho beefed up morons, but same thing with me when I started doing jiu-jitsu. Everyone was just so supportive and nice and encouraging, you know, keep coming back, come on, you know. It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, it's lovely. It's a really, really nice environment to be in, and it's done.
Have you started doing any moves on stage that you've learned in kickboxing?
No way.
No. Would you ever do it?
No,
ever do that?
There's no way. No.
Pull out a few roundhouses or something.
I guarantee if my ego ever went there to try it, I'd be putting my box pretty quickly. Like I'd spin around, I'd end up on my ass. So like, no.
Hey, you never know. If you keep it up, you could be doing fucking flying kicks across the stage like Street Fighter or something.
Yeah,
that'd look amazing. Just try to take Johnny out, flying past him.
Yeah. No, just like put a can of beer on Johnny's head and just like kick it off him. Do you know what I mean? Kick it off his head into the crowd. Do you know what I mean? Fucking hell.
Half a foot too low and
They'd
break his jaw. God, no. But yeah, no, it's been good. I've been, I love it.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, cool, man. Yeah, it's good. Listen, there's so much to be said for fucking exercise, or you know, because we're no spring chickens now. Like, you know, we're fucking getting older now, and you know, for me especially, I don't drink anymore. I don't smoke weed. I'm going to give up fags soon. I'm a regular. Fucking doing my shit. I can't imagine life without that kind of routine now.
Yeah,
of just keeping myself feeling good. I've got a bit obsessed. Since 2014 I've been obsessed with the Wim Hof shit. I went to Poland with Wim Hof in 2014. I've been obsessed with that, and now I'm getting bang into around the corner from where I'm living, there's a gym that's got a really good sauna. So I'm just like addicted to saunas, and I've got my bath full of cold water all day, and if I haven't got access to a lake or a river, I'm just in the bath like 2 or 3 times a day just to. It just helps keep me it keeps me focused and keeps me like, I don't know, keeps the sort of, what could you say? I could say it kind of keeps the demons at bay a little bit. Do you know what I mean? It keeps the devils at bay.
Yeah. No, I
And you know,
no, it's amazing.
So tell me,
like, with the Wim Hof, I have gone through like periods of doing the breathing thing, which has been great. I mean, really, it's something I should. It's one of those things where I'll go through like little phases of doing it like quite regular, and then for whatever reason, it just sort of, I don't keep it up. But it's good stuff, and also the cold water thing. Like my partner does it a lot more than I do, but we live like right on the coast.
Nice.
So she goes quite often to like have a dip in the North Sea. Occasionally I'll go on, and yeah, it's great. Like, I mean, it makes you feel amazing.
Yeah.
It makes you feel so good. But it's like, it makes you feel, it's not even just like you feel like all sorts of endorphins are going crazy, like in the moment, and just afterwards you feel like on a proper high. But it stays with you, doesn't it? Like throughout the course of the day, that kind of, I don't know, there's like after all that, like after everything settles back down, there's like a calm. And it's yeah. I can totally see how like
it's good.
Regular stuff can doing that regularly will make you feel great. I'm sure.
Yeah, it's great for regulating your nervous system, and if you can tap into your nervous system and regulate that, I mean, you're on a roll to basically getting into all the other systems, the endocrine system, the digestive system. You know, once you can start to access and calm down your nervous system and keep it on an even keel, everything starts to function better, basically. But anyway, this sounds like another podcast. We'll do a breathwork podcast where all three of us do some breathing, and then whatever, we go and jump in a lake or something. But anyhow, I'm actually doing a course at the minute to become a breathwork practitioner.
Wow!
So I want to start teaching it. So nice. It's something I'm feeling pretty passionate about. Yeah. But anyway, I digress. So, I mean, we're coming to an end here. I mean, we could stay chatting for hours, really. But I mean, maybe we'll do it again sometime. Hey, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah.
Counting old
I mean, and you got an album coming out next. You got an album coming out next month, and then you're fucking off on some pretty good tour dates, playing America, UK, and Europe. Yeah.
We're going all over. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, nice.
Nice.
Have you played the States before?
Nah, we were supposed to in like 2020, but obviously that happened, and it didn't happen. So well, it's nice. It's all coming back round again. So.
It's gonna happen now, man. You're gonna, as they used to say back in the day, you're gonna break America, man.
Next time you speak to me, I'll be wearing a cowboy hat.
Yeah.
You'll be in LA.
No, next time I see you, you'll be on like you'll be on the Joe Rogan. You'll be on the fucking Joe Rogan podcast. He'll be like,
I'll have really white teeth.
Getting stem cells and fucking looking 20 years of age.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Yeah, man. Well, it was really lovely chatting to you, Baty. And I'm sorry about all the technical difficulties. Sorry about the technical difficulties. But it's like that sometimes.
Sure.
And you know, and to end it up, man, just like to say thank you for being a part of the Gnod sphere for so long, as playing with us, releasing our music, and also now helping us out with the publishing stuff. It's you're a legend, and we really appreciate you, man. Thank you.
I'm a genuine Gnod fan. Yeah. So honored to be part of it.
Thanks, brother.
Nice one, Matt.
Thanks, brother.
Cheers.
Nice one.
See you in a bit.
Yeah.
Take care.
Right. I'm gonna go jump in a cold bath.